use the transfer portal as a tool, which is good.
Yeah.
I think there are plenty of people who would say, well, we didn't go to bowl game with these guys. We can go to bowl game without them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe Nebraska does still need to, have some roster turnover, and I'm sure they will. They'll make the additions that they need to. At least they'll swing on them, try to make those additions. But I think that the relative lack of activity is what Matt Rule wants. And again, if you trust his vision as a fan, as a listener, you're probably okay with that. You see players from big name schools jump in, look for new lease on life, not be a backup. You see players from, group of 5 schools or lower, and they're looking to step up. Where are guys from Nebraska going? I'd love to look into that. Where are they transferring? Why are they transferring out? But I think at least, through the first, 12 hours of the transfer portal here today.
Officially being open.
Right. The first 12 hours, only one guy in the portal. I think that's a sign that Matt Rule and his message have really, sunk into that locker room. And the guys are buying into, you're on the team, you're one of us. We're going to invest in you.
Well, and Jake Applegate was kind of a tight end that, might have been on special teams in the future here it is. And I don't want to take anything away because the Applegates are a very talented and extremely athletically gifted family. So, Nate Applegate's currently doing his thing at Lincoln Southeast High School as well, playing football and basketball. But I want to talk about this. Nebraska, they do have tight ends that are committed. They have, obviously Carter Nelson is the headliner name in this recruiting class for Nebraska, but it could be worse. Like I want to talk about that. Like you have obviously list. You look at quarterbacks instantly, right? List of quarterbacks that are officially in the transfer portal: Kyle McCord, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Dante Moore from UCLA, who was a 5-star last year, Riley Leonard from Duke, Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina, Tyler Van Dyke, Will Howard, Will Rogers, DJ Uiagalelei. You also have the 3 from Michigan State, which might want to keep your eye on one of them, and that is Sam Levitt as we go forward. But I think when you look at Nebraska specifically, this is an offseason where Austin, Matt Rule's, he specifically calls it a build, not a rebuild. And part of that is because they're hoping to hold on to pretty much a lot of their young guys. Like they can't afford to lose guys that they brought in last year's recruiting class that they see as a big piece of it. And we talk about it all the time in college football. It's a lot of retention, re-recruiting your roster. We're about to find out how good of recruiters of their roster this staff is and can be with guys like Cam Lenhart, Princewill Uman-Mielen. You go up and down this list, and you know that tampering is active and it's alive in college football. You can't allow that to happen on your own roster. You have to keep this young core of guys that is going to be instrumental in this build. You can't lose them year one.
Especially if you're a developmental and culture-based program.
Yeah.
You would think that maybe some teams that rely more on talent, hey, it's a simple scheme, just go let our athletes ball. Those teams, yes, there still are those chemistry concerns, but you think that they can get away with it a little easier than a place like Nebraska, who, yes, still recruiting, at or near the top of the division, which doesn't matter anymore since they're officially dead and gone since the 2023 Big Ten season has come to an end. But I think that puts it into even more perspective that Nebraska is not recruiting at a high level for the conference. It's kind of middle of the road. You can't afford to, lose guys after 1 or 2 years. They need to be able to see the big picture to be able to, I hate to use the word committed because that's kind of, the word in recruiting,
cliche,
but committed to that vision, that program, that development cycle and churn and not lose them. Because what did we talk about with Nebraska basketball, even Nebraska baseball?
Yeah.
A lot of turnover on those teams too, but you don't know the culture of those programs. Matt Rule's trying to build that for football. Hey, these are the guys we target. This is what we do with them, in the first 2.5 years. By the end of their second year on campus, they're playing snaps. Third year, they're a starter. Fourth year, they're all conference level, and they're off to the pros. I think that's what Matt Rule's trying to build and trying to ultimately get to, but it's hard to do that if you, A, don't have talent, or B, don't have the runway to develop these guys from the raw athletes into football players.
Which we know the runways are becoming shorter and shorter right nowadays in college football because if Nebraska isn't this program, right? We have to be realistic, and this seems like a conversation I've at least had on shows the last couple of years with the transfer portal. You have to be realistic in assessing your program, right? Like, so for example, Sam Levitt, right? And that's a name that has been thrown out there. It's probably one that Nebraska's tied to, right? And I've heard the same things as well, dating back to even late last week. But I think when you think about Nebraska as a program, yeah, it'd be great to get a Cam Ward. It'd be great to go after a DJ Uiagalelei, a Tyler Van Dyke, these headliner names. Frankly, we have to be honest with ourselves as a program and say, and we were having this conversation with Jay just a couple minutes ago, what else is there that could factor into a decision about where you want to go play college ball, especially with those experienced guys like a Cam Ward, like a now Kyle McCord, I suppose, like a DJ Uiagalelei, a lot of the grad transfers, right? What's going to be a difference? How can you get them to the league? Can you get these guys to the league? And right now, Nebraska as a program, unfortunately, and this is, I mentioned specifically as a program, the numbers of NFL draftees isn't all that exciting. It doesn't make a recruit's ears perk up when they hear, oh, dang, Nebraska wants me, and they've sent X number of quarterbacks to the league. And unfortunately, this is somewhat the case across all positions. Now, you hope that, like Austin said, you can find guys to buy into the vision, but in reality, you might not be getting those headliner guys to buy into the vision because they're only going to be here for 1 year. That's why you need a Sam Levitt who has 4 years remaining. That's why you need X guy who has 3 years. And you go back to what Matt Rule talked about. Those are the guys he targets because there's this vision that they need to sell. So being realistic in assessing Nebraska's program, if Will Howard comes here or whatever guy comes here, that's great. It's awesome if that's the kind of the Band-Aid for 1 year or the bridge guy between this current quarterback, whoever it is, and Daniel Kaelin. But do they truly buy into the vision? And at what point do you value buying into the vision, taking a lesser known guy over taking a grad transfer?
How much longer can Nebraska sell vision too? They have a little bit more of a lease on that with Matt Rule there, but it's important to show actual progress in terms of wins and losses in getting dudes drafted sooner than later, plain and simple, because I think that goes both ways in terms of how that's viewed by draftees. On the one hand, you want players to, say, oh yeah, I can go to Nebraska because they get players drafted, especially out of the transfer portal. They chose somewhere else and they're like, oh, Nebraska gives me the best shot. I see what they've done with other guys in my position. But Nick, I wonder how many dudes across the country, outside of the 402, the 308, the 531 that we use as well, even the 500-mile radius, how many guys from the more talent-rich states where there's a deeper pool of guys to pull from know Nebraska growing up and say, I want to go to Nebraska. Not I want to go to a big program that'll get me in the NFL. How many of them grew up saying, I want to go to Nebraska? They're really good at putting my position into the NFL. It's been forever since that's been the case. You can even look back at like the Bo years. I'll give him some credit for that. The offensive lines were better. No, didn't have a quarterback, get drafted or do anything in the NFL, but a couple really good running backs, receivers carved out roles, plenty of guys on the defensive side of the ball. So then to your point about acknowledging where Nebraska's at as a program, what caliber of player are they in the market for, which is really the best way to phrase it, given the climate and the conditions of recruiting today, is that Nebraska's in that developmental sort of phase. You can swing for the headliners, but I don't think you have that cachet to throw around. And that's where I go back to my first point. You need progress, not vision, to get that caliber of player.
And that's a very good point. I mean, because you want to talk about Nebraska, and this is obviously forward thinking down the road, far ways down the road. If you truly want to pursue a headliner, then that's for year 2 to 3 or year 3 to 4, right? When it's okay, we've had incremental progress where you've gotten from 5 wins to 6, and 6 you went to 7. Who's that guy that could take us to double digits, right? Who's that guy? And also what plays a part in that is the surrounding talent, right? Because more than likely, if you're able to make incremental progress with a middle of the road quarterback, there's chances are you have some pretty talented guys around him. So then from year 2 to year 3 or year 3 to year 4, right? When frankly, it gets a little uncomfortable around here if you're not winning by that point. We can't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't sit here and imagine like that's not going to be the case despite a 9-year contract. If Matt Rule and staff aren't winning successfully by year 3, it's going to get a little uncomfortable and conversations are going to start to swirl. So now when you look at that, it's going to be the coaches are able to go out to the Will Howard of 2026 and say, hey, guess who you're going to be throwing the ball to? A senior Malachi Coleman, a junior so-and-so, right? An experienced tight end, an experienced wide receiver core. You're also able to draw in more talent across from the transfer portal outside of quarterback that then you can say, hey, you know what? We just need you to do your job.
That is a key distinct difference between the NFL and college. In the NFL, it's really hard to build a team up and then go get your quarterback later, right?
Yeah.
You have to get your quarterback first and then find ways to fill in the gaps. In college, what you can do is you can build up the rest of the roster. You can get the offensive line, you can get the skill position guys, and it might not be one cycle, right? It might be 2 recruiting cycles, which, 5 to 6 years.
Which once again, there you go, the build part of it.
Yes, if you show that proven track record of, hey, we're protecting our quarterbacks. We've given up, top 3rd in the nation in, fewest sacks allowed.
Yeah.
Our wide receivers are catching a high percentage of their targets. There's a yards after catch guy. There's a deep threat. There's an intermediate guy. Our tight ends are developing. Our running backs are over 750 yards consistently. That's when you get in the market for those quarterbacks. They see, hey, I might not know any of these names. They might not be the highest rated guys, but I trust.
Away.
Right.
You hear it all the time that a program is a quarterback away. And 464-5685, we'll definitely get to your thoughts because we got a lot of people on the stream and a lot of people on the text line that have some thoughts on this. I also wonder in a couple years if Matt Rule's vision of the transfer portal will change, because it also feels like the transfer portal, specifically in the quarterback market, could be an avenue for Matt Rule to really find success earlier than usual, earlier than maybe expected. Right? If other position groups such as wide receiver, offensive line, running back, even tight end, I suppose, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, if they progress at the rate that you want, and let's say you miss on a quarterback, then it doesn't mean you have to go out and get the middle of the road quarterback to buy into this vision. It once again can be used as, hey, we need one guy to come in here for 2 years and say, all right, I'm going to take this thing. I'm going to lead Nebraska to a double-digit win season because they have the talent around me. I'm real curious, and these are all questions that we won't, obviously get answered before 2025 or 2026 after Matt Rule's back in the college game for a while. But I'll be really fascinated to see if his vision or thought process on the transfer portal and the quarterback market specifically ever changes. Because if to say, and even if it's not the quarterback position, to say that, hey, yeah, you know what? Our running backs coach did his job. He developed his guys. Our wide receiver coach did his job, whoever this is. Offensive line, same situation. We have a top 50 defense in the country. We're a quarterback away. So do we go to a middle of the road guy that's inexperienced and build him up? Or do we go out to get an established guy and maybe spend a little bit more to get the instant wins? It's hard to find or hard to believe that any coach, whether you have this build or rebuild philosophy, or it's I'm going to come in, we're going to recruit the crap out of the transfer portal and we're going to win, would say, yeah, you know what? I think it'd be okay to go out and get a guy that maybe has 2 years left that's a little more experienced rather than, sacrificing a year and maybe letting it go to waste.
This is where I have the read on Matt Rule that as Nebraska's station changes, he will be consistent in the types of guys he takes, but I think his approach can change in a good way, right? He's not going to panic. He's not going to forget what got Nebraska to where it was, again, assuming it's all successful.
Yeah.
But you also can't afford to Clemson it. Clemson should have been in the market for all these big transfers to get a good quarterback, to get a wide receiver one with the success they had. Dabo said, nope, not going to do it. I love my guys, which is commendable. But at the same time, if you have that weight and that ability to throw your name around and say, we're this excellent program. We want you to come here and play for us. Why would you not do that?
Once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951, all avenues for you guys to get in touch with Austin or myself. Once again, no Adam Carricker this week. He's out of town. I believe he's in Florida, so he's probably in a lot nicer weather than we are. Rico is out of town today, tomorrow, and then he'll actually be gone on Thursday because Nebraska volleyball will host 5th-seeded Georgia Tech on Thursday at home. That's at 1 p.m. Come on, don't they know a very popular show happens at 1 p.m. on the ticket? But nonetheless, Rico will be out, so Austin will be going with me for a couple of days this week. Quarterback news from the transfer portal. We've already had another guy enter the portal from the University of Georgia. It is not anybody that Nebraska probably knows. Quarterback Brock Vandegrift plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal later today. He was a 5-star recruit in the 2021 class, as well as, how about this one? Iowa defensive tackle, and this might be a name Nebraska fans do remember from last year's recruiting cycle, Ontario Thompson from Iowa Western Community College. Obviously, Nebraska's worked hard these last couple of years towards the tail end of Scott Frost, even rebuilding that Iowa Western connection, and that almost benefited last year in the recruitment of Ontario Thompson. But now Thompson has entered the portal from the University of Iowa. He was mainly a special teams type of player for the Hawkeyes, but was expected to be a key piece of that defensive front in 2024. Now he's in the portal, so that's probably a name to keep an eye on as well. Once again, 464-5685, the phone number to call or text. We have plenty of stuff to come up on the show today. We'll be here until 2 o'clock or so. Husker basketball falls to Creighton. There's some other things off the floor that probably Austin and I definitely want to get into throughout the course of the show. Nebraska volleyball, we mentioned that. How should Nebraska maneuver the portal outside of quarterbacks, right? Wide receiver, running back, anybody on the defense now that Quentin Newsome is moved on. How do we feel about the secondary, the linebackers going forward? We'll dive into that and all more coming up next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Happy Hour, a 2-hour edition this week here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. There are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Gary with Gary Michaels Clothiers Lincoln. I'm here to tell you about our custom shirt program. When you come into the store, we measure your chest, mid-waist, and sleeve length. Enter the measurements in an app, and we create your data fit size. You then try on one of our 99 data fit shirts for the proper fit. After that, pick out the fabric, collar, cuff, placket, and in roughly 2 weeks, your shirts are delivered at the same cost of buying off the rack. And by the way, the neck fits too. Gary Michaels Custom Shirts at 56th and Pine Lake Road, Lincoln.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Everybody wants a classic Christmas. Well, there's nothing more classic than cash. So until January 3rd, 2024, enter non-winning Nebraska Lottery Holiday Classic scratch tickets online, and you could win $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000. Hurry and jingle all the way to your nearest Nebraska Lottery retailer and have yourself a classic little Christmas with the whole family of Holiday Classic scratch tickets. Top prize odds vary by game.
Don't miss the most innovative ag technology that exists today, on display in Lincoln at the Nebraska Ag Expo, the second largest indoor ag show in the U.S., December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Check out all the latest technology in row crop and livestock production, robotics, and more at the expanded Innovation Hub. Mark your calendar. That's December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Register online at NebraskaAgExpo.com to get your tickets in advance and save $5. See you in Lincoln. The Nebraska Ag Expo is sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I'm leaving people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people? Huh?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Austin Orman with you. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. open for you guys the rest of the way here. We got a text over the break that says, realistically, what quarterback do you want to see at Nebraska next year? The MSU quarterback, obviously they mean Sam Leavitt. I was telling Austin over the break.
Do they mean Noah Kim? Do they mean Caden Hauser?
Could be. I was telling Austin over the break, if Sam Leavitt is Nebraska's quarterback, there will be countless times that I say Will Leavitt because it just makes me think of Will Levis, the current Tennessee Titans starting quarterback. But Sam Leavitt, the Michigan State quarterback in the portal, he says the Michigan State quarterback doesn't do it for me as an immediate impact goes. Wouldn't mind seeing Will Howard here. Now, I think back to, okay, let's play a hypothetical scenario here. First, let's go Will Howard, okay? I sit here and I think to myself, okay, if you're Will Howard, why transfer out, right? Maybe Avery Johnson behind you at Kansas State has the job on lock, right? I could also see it to Will Howard saying, I want to be that filler guy to take a team from 8 wins to 10 wins next year, play in a New Year's Six bowl game, potentially contend for a conference championship or even in the college football playoff spot, depending on the place. I also want to move back closer to home, or I want to get an opportunity to get drafted next year. All those things don't necessarily, align with Nebraska. The reason I think Sam Leavitt would align with Nebraska is because it's a guy that has 3 or 4 years left, multiple years that we know Matt Rule gravitates towards because he told us last week. It's also a guy that Nebraska would be able to build up or develop. It's not a fine-tuned guy. It's not an established quarterback. I think for a multitude of reasons, there's probably fewer expectations. There is less pressure on a transfer portal quarterback that has 4 years remaining than a guy that's coming here to be a 1 year guy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, lesser NIL money.
That definitely plays into it. More on Nebraska's timeline, right? With the rest of what Matt Rule and his staff is trying to develop. I think you want to do that, right? Your first batch of skill position guys, really, it's ideal to have just that class kind of grow up together. Yeah, Leavitt wouldn't have been brought in at the same time as some of these guys, but he's essentially the same in terms of age and experience. So to be able to have him on the same timeline as the rest of those guys, they're in a similar spot. Fitting the timeline is absolutely huge. As soon as that name was brought up, Nick, the first thing I did, it doesn't say everything, it doesn't mean everything, but to go and just check out the offers. Who was on this guy out of high school? So obviously Michigan State, where he committed. He's from Pacific Northwest, Washington, if I'm not mistaken. So Washington State was in on him, as was Washington.
Yeah.
Ryan Grubb recruited him. That's a really good offense. You see Kenny Dillingham at Florida State, now at Arizona State.
Yeah.
But going after a quarterback like this, really good offensive mind. Arizona wanted him.
Yeah, Leavitt was the number 1 player in the state of Oregon.
Oregon State wanted him.
So in terms,
BYU wanted him. Wisconsin wanted him.
In response to this unnamed texter who asked us, then the Michigan State quarterback doesn't do it for you as an immediate impact goes. I don't know if Nebraska's going to be able to go get a guy that's going to do it for immediate impact.
Well, not immediate ceiling impact, but immediate floor impact, right? It's going to Sam Leavitt almost assuredly raises the floor.
Yeah, figure out a way to where, barring injury, Nebraska doesn't have to go through what they did this last year. Nebraska doesn't have to play 3 quarterbacks where every 3 weeks somebody it feels like the better option than the previous guy, right? Or the current starter at that point. If Nebraska, you want to talk about a step up next year, just get through the entire season with a healthy quarterback with one guy. In so many years, right? You even think back to the Adrian Martinez days. It was Adrian Martinez, then it was Luke McCaffrey, then it was Logan Smothers mixed in there a little bit. Noah Vedral, maybe because of injuries.
Andrew Bunch.
Yeah. But then now you zoom forward and it's Casey Thompson was banged up and you had to go to the backup for a second there. Casey Thompson ended up getting his job back, rightfully so, because he was
in a 7th year of eligibility.
Yes. But then now this year, right, you have the whole Jeff Sims experience and then the Heinrich Harburg feeling like, yeah, this guy's the answer. And then him somewhat regressing. and never Chubba Purdy either being healthy enough, getting a fair shot, whatever the combination of reasons is there, just feels like Chubba Purdy's just not going to be a quarterback at Nebraska. And that's not against Chubba Purdy. It just feels like it's kind of ran its course. And over the course of the entire couple seasons that he's been here, never really been looked at authentically.
And that, to your hypothetical, why leave? That's a lot to do with it, right? Chubba Purdy wasn't recruited by the staff. He's still around, but Chubba Purdy is graduating.
Yeah.
He can transfer. Now, given the options on the roster right now, I would feel much more confident with Chubba Purdy starting the first game next year than anyone else.
Yeah.
But the argument for Leavitt over Purdy is more on the timeline. Staff, went in and recruited him, is going to give him a fair shot, and Purdy just might not be around. I'm not telling you he's leaving. He very well might stick around, and I think he would have a good shot to compete for the starting job. But it's not an assured thing that Chubba's back next year.
I would also say this to all the folks that want the immediate impact, right? I think we all starve for the day that Nebraska can be a destination school for a guy like a Cam Ward or a Dylan Gabriel, where Nebraska can sit there after they graduate a quarterback that was serviceable, like in a hypothetical situation here in a few years, where they say, hey, Kyle McCord just entered the portal. Nebraska might be a destination for him. I think we all starve for that day when Nebraska fans can say that about their program, when Nebraska operates in that way, because there's a very good feeling internally saying, yeah, you know what? The best players want to come here. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that's the case right now.
And that's fine. Matt Rule isn't saying we need the best players. He's saying we need to get our players better, not we need better players.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, like Nebraska, you can go out and I suppose, drop the $2.5 million on a Kyle McCord, right? Because there's also been cases and thoughts behind the scenes where guys have, taken less money to go to a better fit. That still is prevalent in a lot of sports, especially basketball. We've seen it. We know it here in Nebraska as well, where guys will take lesser money to go to a better fit, a more successful program. That case can be true. So Ohio Husker wants me to stop saying McCord. He isn't that good. Here's the case. Here's what I was going to say, Ohio Husker, because I'm a little higher on McCord than a lot of people do. I think he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. No, but he took a team to 11-1, and Marvin Harrison was banged up for a couple of guys, or for a couple of games. They didn't have a Chris Olave. They didn't have I'm trying to think of the other Emeka Egbuka. They didn't have a Trevion Henderson in the backfield the entire season either. Didn't have nearly the offensive line that Ohio State usually has. There was a lot of things that he still led them to 11-1 season. A comeback win over Notre Dame was a big step in the right direction for McCord. Now, with Nebraska, when you look at their current situation, I don't think going out and trying to get an instant impact guy is something you're not going to find the instant impact you're looking for next year.
You can't be afraid to try, right? If you think you have a shot at Kyle McCord, go ask. If you think Will Howard is that guy, at least go ask, right? What's the worst they can tell you? No. Heck, even Brock Vandegrift. I mean, Nebraska offered him under Scott Frost.
And when we say names, like when we say McCord or Dylan Gabriel or Cam Ward, we're just trying to put out like a headliner name. We're not saying specifically like, oh yeah, Nebraska, go out and get this guy specifically. Find the best headliner name that fits what you're trying to do to a T.
Right. If you think that they're a difference maker and you think that your roster's further along than the rest of us do, fine. Take that swing. I don't care. It's a 3-1 fastball.
Yeah.
You miss, you still got another pitch. You still got other options there. But don't be surprised if you either don't hear Nebraska involved on these guys because it's not Matt Rule's style right now, and then to further that, don't be surprised when Nebraska doesn't end up with one of those guys because it's not the style of this coaching staff.
Yeah, and frankly, from a player's standpoint, if you are one of those headline guys that your maybe main goal is NIL, if it's not, if it's to get drafted, if it's to win or compete for a conference championship or a national championship, you have to remember here, all right, Oregon's in your conference now. Like, these are now guys that you're going to have to compete against. USC is currently, Lincoln Riley is feeling the heat. They have a 5-star in their wings in Malachi Nelson from Southern California. Caleb Williams just announced about 30 minutes ago that he's not going to play in the bowl game for USC, so that's something we'll have to discuss coming down the road here. But Lincoln Riley is not on the coldest of seats. His seat's getting pretty warm. You think about what he's done, right? He probably held on to his defensive coordinator for a little too long. He probably shouldn't have ever brought Alex Grinch to USC after the whole Oklahoma fiasco and the struggles there for the Sooners. Now you are still without a defensive coordinator currently for a couple of weeks, right?
Because you wouldn't pay.
And now, supposedly, you're going down to visit Will Howard. You're in the mix for Cam Ward. You're looking for a new quarterback when you've had one sitting for this entire season waiting in the wings because you feel like you need that instant, immediate impact to save your job. There's a luxury to where the situation is that Matt Rule has right now. He can go out, find a guy that has 3-4 years like he desires and say, we're going to try to do this thing the way we want it, and then adjust with minor shifts and minor changes and minor decision-making going forward in the next couple of years. I think Lincoln Riley's in a really interesting position because they move into the Big Ten next year. And if that USC team is anything like it was this season, they're not going to compete for a conference championship.
No.
They're not even close. They're a 7-8 win team, and you're probably losing, well, you are losing the number 1 draft pick.
And to Nebraska.
Yeah. Bingo. There you go. At home. Nebraska's going to take them down to the Coliseum. How about that? So, I mean, it's a real interesting situation with Lincoln Riley out at USC. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. How about this? We're going to step aside, watch some NFL news here. How about this? Diana Rossini just tweeted out, I believe she's on The Athletic.
She is.
The Jets want to make a switch at quarterback. The team is leaning towards Zach Wilson to taking over, but he is reluctant to stepping back in. So how about that? The Jets want to go back to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson isn't sure that he wants to go back out there. A lot of wild stuff going on right now in both college football and NFL world. There's going to be a lot of Husker basketball discussion. We were supposed to get to that in this segment, but here we are. Just that kind of day. It's Happy Transfer Portal Day. Don't go anywhere. We wrap up the noon hour coming up next right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Everybody wants a classic Christmas. Well, there's nothing more classic than cash. So until January 3rd, 2024, enter non-winning Nebraska Lottery Holiday Classic scratch tickets online, and you could win $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000. Hurry and jingle all the way to your nearest Nebraska Lottery retailer and have yourself a classic little Christmas with the whole family of Holiday Classic scratch tickets. Top prize odds vary by game.
Don't miss the most innovative ag technology that exists today on display in Lincoln at the Nebraska Ag Expo, the second largest indoor ag show in the U.S., December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Check out all the latest technology in row crop and livestock production, robotics, and more at the expanded Innovation Hub. Mark your calendar. That's December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Register online at NebraskaAgExpo.com to get your tickets in advance and save $5. See you in Lincoln. The Nebraska Ag Expo is sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action. The Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha. Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today, with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apple, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
Golfing in 72 degrees in perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in December, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book your holiday parties at Double Eagle Golf and make plans to join them for a New Year's Eve party. Gift cards make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, and don't forget to look ahead to 2024 as spring leagues begin in February. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting a little patchy fog early this morning. Otherwise, partly sunny skies are expected throughout the day. We'll see a high of around 50. Tonight, a chance of sprinkles possible early, then partly cloudy skies with a low around 31. Tomorrow, see mainly sunny skies and a high of around 45. Meteorologist Kyle Clicker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apple, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick and Austin with you, 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. Real quick segment here as we are up against the top of the hour. But how about this? 13 players from Ohio State have entered the transfer portal. So you think, I mean, here's the thing. You think that Nebraska's got it bad, which they have one, and that's Jake Applegate, former Lincoln Southeast Knight. But nonetheless, Ohio State, 13 players in the portal, which one of those, obviously Kyle McCord. Another one is former 5-star wide receiver from the state of Pennsylvania. That's Julian Fleming. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about a wide receiver one, which I personally think Nebraska has to find that wide out one. They have to find this Trey Palmer of the class. Now, Trey also was a guy that had connections to the staff, had most importantly Mickey Joseph,
right, was
buried on the depth chart at his last place at LSU because there was some insane talent ahead of him. And he also was brought here, yes, to be a wide receiver. He was brought here to be a special teams guy and then broke out as a wide receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about like Nebraska going forward, they have a lot of young pieces, a lot of really exciting pieces in the Malachi Colemans, in the Jaden Doss, the Jalen Lloyds, right? But they got to find this established guy. This is where you want, right? If you're going to bring in a younger quarterback, a more inexperienced quarterback with 3 or 4 years left, who's going to be the guy on 3rd and 8 to bail you out? Who's going to be the guy on 3rd and 5 when everybody's covered to say, you know what, give me the ball. Throw me up, throw me the ball. I'm going to come down with it. They need to figure out a way to find a guy to take over games, because towards the tail end of games last year or this season, it was, all right, who's Nebraska going to go to on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 4? Do you feel good about anybody really? They need to find this guy like Trey Palmer was and say, listen, we need you to be the guy that says, give me the ball in any situation. I'm going to go make a play for us.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have that this year, and it certainly helps an inexperienced quarterback when you can say, hey, you have a guy that's played 5 years of football over there that you just need to throw it in the vicinity of him, and he's going to go make a play.
Even if he doesn't have the stats to back it up, Nebraska needs a guy that can run number one receiver routes and just be, like you said, that safety blanket. I'm thinking of maybe like a Quincy Enunwa type. My Colts are on a burner right now, going to playoffs, baby. Like, is there Michael Pittman Jr. out there?
Yeah.
Not flashy, but reliable, puts up numbers, is there on 3rd down. He's a good enough red zone target, does enough things well.
With a good body, too. Like, unfortunately, I think the staff may have brought in Billy Kemp and didn't know how they wanted to utilize him, right?
And it was weird because I think Billy Kemp could have been that 3rd down guy a la Jordan Westerkamp out of the slot. Different players, but maybe used in similar ways. But the quarterback situation, but I don't think the scheming got the most out of Billy Kemp to make him available for his quarterback.
And then certainly then you have your injuries to Billy. And I think even towards the end of the year, even when he was finding playing time, he wasn't fully healthy. I don't think he was 100% back to playing football type of health. So, and I think it was somewhat unfair also to ask Billy Kemp to be a wide receiver 1 when maybe Billy Kemp is at his best at wide receiver 2. Like, I think it's evaluating what guys' ceilings are. And Billy Kemp would be a very, very good wide receiver 2, a very good wide receiver 2. Not sure he was ready to take that next leap, and that's okay because those guys can be just as valuable as your Trey Palmers in the world to your offense.
It's almost more valuable having a guy that knows what he is or a staff that knows who a guy is because they don't try to make him do too much. I think you're right about evaluate what a guy's ceiling can be. I think that's more recruiting and transfer portal maybe to a lesser degree. But I think it's just as important in the present to identify what he is now.
Yeah.
Right? What he can be. You work on in practice, you work on in the offseason, and then if you're out of options, you say, hey, we've been working on this. Let's try it. Hey, they're not expecting this. But for 98% of your plays, you have to know what your guys are and what you get.
Which is going to be helpful for like a guy like Marcus Washington. Because Marcus is going to be in the situation where he's going to be one of the older veteran guys in the room. He's going to have to get a waiver, right? I believe he's going to have to get a waiver. And if he's ended up, being granted that waiver, I'm not sure you want Marcus Washington as your number 1 target.
Said that all year. I'm with you.
But I think he needs to be involved in the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 capacity to where, hey, you know what? Listen, I need to pass the torch, and there's more value to me maybe off the field than even on the field at this point in my career.
So I'm glad you bring Marcus Washington up. Nebraska, if he does get that waiver, he comes back, has really, I think, two schools of thought right now. Let's say they don't get anyone out of the transfer portal. Either you make Marcus Washington your X on the outside, make him do number one wide receiver things that he's not cut out for, and keep Jalen Lloyd at, the Z or the, inside kind of slot guy, and Malachi Coleman is your number two opposite of Marcus Washington. Or what you do is you say, this is the best role for Marcus Washington. We see that ceiling that you're talking about with Malachi Coleman.
Yeah.
Sink or swim, bud. Here's your opportunity. You get thrown out there. And that, Nick, was my thought with Turner Corcoran all year. He started at left tackle. I still think he's a guard. Mm-hmm. I think he's had plenty of chances to play left tackle, but Nebraska continued to play him there. My thought is, okay, it's unfortunate to not have a dependable tackle, but I would rather put Turner Corcoran in the best position to succeed if he's the best left guard and figure it out somewhere else than be, less than what you could be at two positions.
Well, and part of that struggle was the Teddy Prohaska injury.
It was.
Part of that was they felt like Teddy Prohaska was best suited for that offensive line as a whole. I don't know. I think the wide receiver room is really fascinating because I'll be interested to see if next year it's just like the leash completely off all those young guys that we've talked about, right? Like people are forgetting about the Jeremiah Charles of the world and some of these guys that maybe were forgotten about in their first year. Well, now it's all right. You guys are now 2 years into this thing. There's not really anybody ahead of you because even if Nebraska does bring a transfer portal wide receiver in, like a Samori Toure, that feels like maybe more realistic because Trey Palmer ended up getting drafted 6th round. I get it, and Samori got drafted in the 7th. But when you look at Nebraska, if they're able to bring in a guy like Samori Toure from the FCS level, that give credit to that staff because they evaluated him well and they identified him and was able to bring him in. He's your clear-cut number one. Well, that's all you have ahead of you if you're some of those younger guys. And I feel like there's some spots on Nebraska's roster, both offensive and defensive, where guys need to have this shark in the water, they smell blood type of mentality, where there's a lot of positions and jobs that are open for the taking. Go take it. This is allow the coaches at some point to take the leash off and say, all right, although you're a sophomore, you are our guy. You are the wide, and maybe you do overtake the transfer wide receiver in from that number one spot, or maybe you're getting just the same exact amount of time and usage as that wide receiver one. It just feels like over the last couple of weeks of the season, unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of I smell blood in the water, we're going after it. I just felt like the urgency wasn't necessarily there from some of the position groups. So let's continue talking about this. We've been discussing it for about an hour, and we can continue going on for it for the entire show today. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, there's going to be, obviously, we'll have weekend pick I guess I should say the results of weekend picks. Obviously, Jay participated in this week's, so that'll be something interesting to kind of throw in there. If you missed any of the news, Jake Applegate is the lone Husker to this point to enter the transfer portal. So Jake Applegate, kind of a reserve tight end for Nebraska from Lincoln Southeast High School. He's entered the portal officially. That's the only Husker to make his intentions public. For that matter, Caleb Williams is not playing in the bowl game. That's not a huge shocker, but that's also somewhat of an indication, hey, I'm going to the NFL draft. And then in addition, you have 13 players from Ohio State that have entered the portal collectively off of that single Buckeyes team. So a lot of stuff to get to as we continue dissecting the transfer portal. We'll definitely get into Husker hoops because they got a situation of their own where what are they going to do at point guard? What are they going to do just at the guard position overall? They need a couple fixes, especially after last night's disappointing performance against the Creighton Blue Jays. So we'll dive into that briefly, but then get right back into football because we have a lot of stuff to talk about coming up next as we enter the 1 o'clock hour of the happy hour and get you ready for On the Block over the next 45 minutes or so. Coming up next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
John Henry's would like to remind you, if you haven't already, to unhook your outdoor hoses and check faucets for leaks so your pipes don't freeze. As the official plumber of the Huskers, you know who to call when a plumbing issue arises. From frozen pipes to clogged drains, we can help you protect your home this winter. Give John Henry's a call today to schedule at
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Hi, I'm Steve Carper for O Street Carpet. For Christmas, we're doing everything possible to help you spruce up your home without making a dent in your holiday budget. If you need new wood flooring, new carpet, ceramic tile, vinyl, area rugs, or custom blinds, you want to shop at O Street Carpet. We offer 12 months same-as-cash financing, Lincoln's best selection in stock, free in-home measuring, and we'll install it right away. 1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apple, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Gary with Gary Michaels Clothiers Lincoln. As we celebrate our 40th anniversary, which started in Hastings in 1983, I often reflect on the Lincoln men's stores no longer here. They are McGee's, Ben Simons, Landon's, Rothschild, Sir Winston, Post and Nickel, Ragman, Murray's, Miller and Payne, and Joseph A. Bank. You know where I'm coming from. Gary Michaels has been battle tested, and we are committed to serve Nebraskans as your premier store for men for many years to come. Gary Michaels Clothiers, 56th and Pine Lake Road, Lincoln.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Experience flexibility like never before with Ace Rent-to-Own. Whether you're decorating a new home or upgrading your electronics, they provide easy payment plan options that suit your budget. No credit checks, no hefty interest rates, just straightforward renting solutions designed with you in mind. Find great options to make a beautifully furnished space or surround yourself with the latest gadgets. With Ace Rent-to-Own, it's all within your grasp. Visit acerentoown.com and bring home more than just a product. Bring home a lifestyle. You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Is your heating system ready for cooler weather? Call Bryant to schedule your fall heating check. No matter what brand, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainer and Austin Orman with you. 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. We did get a question from Henry, Austin, that said, how is little Herbie doing?
Oh, little Herbie is doing quite well. He's growing.
Okay, that's
He'll
good.
be 2 months officially on Wednesday.
2 months.
Time flies.
Yeah.
He loves bottles. He loves napping on people's chests. Also a big fan of tummy time.
Oh, that's good.
What he doesn't like is when you need to pause the bottle because he's going too fast.
Oh, yeah.
He will cry immediately.
Gotcha. Doesn't
But yeah,
want to take it away from you.
He does not. Happy little guy.
That's too
Adorable
bad.
little guy.
That's Herbie.
Chubbiest cheeks I've ever seen.
That's Herbie.
Mm-hmm.
Little Herbie. We don't know him as Beckett. We know him as Herbie. There you go. All right. So Nebraska basketball falls 89-60 last night to the Creighton Blue Jays. Baylor Shireman, the Aurora, Nebraska native, the former South Dakota State Jackrabbit, starts out 6 of 12 from three-point land in the first half, and which is actually a career high for Baylor Shireman, but then goes 0 for 7 in the second half from three, which was nice to see if you're a Nebraska fan. But nonetheless, it finishes with 24 points, which was a game high. Keisei Tominaga had 20 to lead the Huskers. Shot 50% from the field, just 1 of 4, though, from three-point land. And Nebraska falls 89-60 at home yesterday. I mean, Nebraska shoots 9% from three-point range compared to 35%. I mean, the Creighton Blue Jays shot 43 pointers yesterday. I mean, they were letting them fly. And Nebraska shoots 2 of 22 as a team. Those two makes coming from Keisei in the first half and Rink Mass in the second half. And I said this last night, Austin. Rink Mass went 1 for 5, had 5 attempts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Josiah Alec had 4. He went 0 for 4. Now, the issue is that you don't want those two guys shooting the most threes on your team. Keisei did go 1 for 4, so he tied Josiah Alec's numbers. But all game long, Creighton was daring Josiah Alec to shoot the 3, and unfortunately, he kept taking them.
So I'm not going to say completely unfortunately, because if Fred Hoiberg and the staff have given him the ability and have confidence in him to knock them down, sure, take them. But after you miss your first couple, that's when you take that 1 or 2 dribbles in and you take that elbow jumper. Or what you do is you treat yourself like Draymond Green.
Yeah.
you find a way to make the next play in the offense. You either get in Kalkbrenner's chest, or you get into a dribble handoff with someone else that can get downhill. Then you pop to the elbow, you roll to the rim, you find something to do. I don't hate the shots. They were open. He's hit those for the most part this year. So it's just, an uncharacteristically bad night for him on an uncharacteristically bad night for the team. But yeah, after the first couple, there's a very delicate balance to draw between, I'm missing everything, I got to do something else. And hey, I'm open. I think I'm going to make this one. Coaches tell me to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it. But this was not just Alex's best game. He looked a little lost, a little unsure of himself. I don't think he's played anyone, like Kalkbrenner in that matchup that's played him like that. Yeah. So I think that was a learning experience for a guy who's been around the block. Now, take it and adjust for the rest of the season.
So it's interesting. So, and Aaron says on the text line, 464-5685 says, apparently we were daring Shireman to shoot the three because no one was covering him. The biggest issue was, and this is where Shireman's a good enough shooter. I mean, he's going to be a guy that gets drafted. He tested the NBA draft waters last year at the end of the season, elected to return to Creighton. Might have tested him 2 straight years, right? Because did he test him out of South Dakota State? So, I mean, he's tested the waters twice and now elected to return back to college basketball both times, or now for a 3rd season. But here you have it to where if you're Nebraska, unfortunately, there's just no adjustment made defensively on him. And like they continued to go under screens when Baylor Shireman got the ball, and against him, he doesn't need a whole lot of space to maneuver. And at some point, like Nebraska was going to either have to try to blow up a screen, or they were going to have to go like on top of the screen.
So this is going to sound funny to some people. I'm not going to put that defensive effort on the coaching staff and the game plan.
I would agree.
I think last night was more on the players. They would run into screens and not fight around them, or they'd take an extra step wide to trail the screen. So many times, whether it was Shireman in that first half, Ashworth hit a couple, Alexander lined one up. Heck, even I think Trout and Miller each hit one as well. Nebraska was either not there on the catch against a team that's really good at shooting, or they were standing flat-footed.
Yeah.
No hands up, no hand trying to swipe at the ball and one in their face, nothing. They were either not there or technically there, but just holding down the hardwood.
It felt really, unfortunately, like lackadaisical.
Until Sam Hoiberg came in the game, and Nebraska got up by 1 at that point, took him out because that offensive group wasn't playing very well. But the hope was that those Sam Hoiberg minutes would say, hey, wake up, guys. We've got to do this. But Sam Hoiberg was the only one to play with any consistent effort defensively from the guards, at least.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I mean, we're going to talk about the guard position here in a few moments. But it just felt like even pregame that there just wasn't a whole lot of juice in this team. And we were down there on the floor, Austin, like it just didn't feel like they were ready to go. And their performance in the start, like they were trailing from behind, from the start of the show. They I think their last lead was like 24-23 or whatever with 10 minutes left in the first half. And ever since the 9-minute mark in that first half, Creighton just dominated the rest of the way. And I think a big part of it, I think you would have hoped getting guys like Bryce Williams, going out and getting an experienced guy like Boogie Coleman. Like there were runs that Creighton went on, and you at that point, this is what Sam Griesel and Derek Walker did so well last year. They were able to halt runs from the opponent.
Did you listen to postgame last night?
I did not, unfortunately.
Nick, that is basically exactly what I said.
And I just unfortunately, like Nebraska now needs to get this guy, or find a guy, I should say, that can just somewhat calm down the entire offense. There was a moment last night where the lineup was, I'm trying to recall it. It was Jerron Coleman, Sam Hoiberg, CJ Wilcher, Josiah Alec, and I want to say Juwan Gary.
Yeah. Yep.
And like that was in a danger zone. Like that was in a danger zone for Nebraska. And that's where I would, if I could go back, ask Fred Hoiberg, like who's the guy on that in that point, right? If it's Boogie Coleman, that's fine. If it's Juwan Gary, that's fine. But they didn't play like they were the dude on offense at that point. Like Juwan didn't try to take over or do his thing where he tries to get to the rim aggressively. And It just felt like a lot of indecisiveness from Nebraska last night.
And some of that is on, Creighton's end. Credit them for being the most athletic team I think Nebraska's played. They were flying around. They were in rotation really well. Nebraska didn't, switch anything up. They ran the same stuff they've ran all year, didn't give Creighton a new look. But to your point, Nick, about stopping runs, Bryce Williams didn't do that. Had a really tough time getting his own shot. But
he also wasn't out there.
Only 21 minutes.
There were some crucial times in that game, and that's what somebody said. A unnamed texter asked on the text line, did Bryce get injured? I never heard an update after he went to the locker room. He seemed to be okay. Like, I understand that he got banged up, but like, that was a big game last night. And I just I don't know if it didn't feel like the team was treating it like a pretty monumental game.
The crowd in pregame was one of the best I've ever seen at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Yes.
The introductions were legit.
Yeah.
It was hyped. I don't want to say that the crowd wanted it more than Nebraska, that the players did, because I don't want to question the players' effort. I don't think it was they just wrote this game off or didn't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What I will say is that I think Nebraska and what Fred Hoiberg was going for was a team that's like him emotionally. We saw Fred get fired up with Paul Zelk last night. There were some questionable calls, but Fred Hoiberg, we've come to know him as this even keel.
He does
stay
not
steady.
get irate unless it's warranted.
He does not. I've never seen a huddle with Fred Hoiberg ripping into his team, yelling at them, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's a character flaw for Fred Hoiberg, but think about Bryce Williams, not a vocal leader. Josiah Alec, lead by example. Rink Mast, not the loudest guy.
No.
Juwan Gary will do some talking, but didn't have a good game last night, right? At all. Strick and I kind of talked about that a little bit.
Even Rink didn't have that great of a game.
He did.
I mean, Rink shot 3 of 11, and that was one of the guys coming in where I told you pregame, like, Rink's got to have his normal, double-double, 16 and 10, 16 and 12 type of game.
And he didn't. No one did. Rink had a couple chances to stop a couple runs. CJ Wilcher's 2 threes would have been huge, but because those guys didn't hit their open shots, it reverted to what we saw the first 3 years of Fred Hoiberg, hero ball, right? Yeah. Casey ends up 8 of 16. He was 6 of 8 in the first half. He took a lot of tough ones.
Yeah.
Just because someone had to get a shot up.
Yeah.
And again, credit Creighton. They had Alexander on him. That's a tough matchup. Yeah. Alexander's bigger, longer, faster than Casey Tominaga is. Didn't do himself many favors for the few NBA scouts that were, maybe in attendance for him, probably more for Shireman Alexander and Kalkbrenner. But this team, Nick, I think the way that they played is the worst of them because it's okay to have a team that's quiet and confident. I think a veteran team that stays steady is susceptible to giving up fewer runs like what we saw last night from Creighton. The issue is when there is a run like that, there's no one there that's the tone setter, that's able to jump in and say, we're changing it. Yeah. This is different. I'm taking this on myself. Y'all better follow my leader. Y'all better sit your butts down.
Yeah.
There's not that guy. And I'm one of those very in the middle, even keel type of guys. So I like that approach. But as with anything, there are trade-offs. And Nebraska saw the trade-off of it last night.
Yeah, it was a frustrating performance. And you hope that, once again, the idea still stands, right? Where you hope Nebraska out of this 4-game set between Creighton, Minnesota, Michigan State, and Kansas State, Nebraska can get at least 2. I think if you ask fans, all right, what are the 2 that you feel the best about getting? It would be Minnesota on Wednesday, and we might differ. We might differ on this one. I say Michigan State on Sunday, just because it's at home. I don't like the idea of Nebraska going down to Kansas State, although it's a lesser Kansas State team than the team that made the deep run in the NCAA tournament last year. I still don't feel great about them going down to Manhattan and asking them, say, hey, get 2 wins on the road.
So I can see both arguments. I think you have to get Minnesota, which, again, having a must-win for your 9th game of the year is pretty tough. But Minnesota hasn't impressed me. I think they've still got a ways to go under Ben Johnson. I can agree with you that being at home, should boost the crowd or should boost the players. It didn't. I also think Michigan State is a really tough matchup.
Yeah.
I think Walker and Hoggard are studs. Yeah. I think they're going to combine for 40, 45 points.
Yeah.
So maybe 2, like we talk about this with, especially young teams. I don't know why that would be the case for Nebraska as an older team, but going on the road where there's less pressure. You just had the biggest game of your season to this point, you failed that test. You'll have probably the second biggest game of your season to this point in terms of crowd energy, anticipation, energy against Michigan State. We'll see how Nebraska looks. Again, I think Michigan State's a tough matchup. So maybe getting one of these meaningful games on the road will have the team loosen up, play more free, say, hey, we're just here for business. It's none of the pomp and circumstance. And I think Kansas State's a little bit better of a matchup for Nebraska.
Yeah. When you think back to last night, I am a little disappointed in Nebraska not being able to put together a better performance. And I think simply because there was a lot of other stuff going on, right? Mm-hmm. They brought out the pyrotechnics, they brought out the fire, the swag videos. Yeah, they brought out a lot for it. They made some new games up, whatever the case may be. They had a stupid halftime show.
It wasn't that bad. It was mediocre.
Austin, it was bad.
It wasn't good, but it was better than the game.
Austin, I've never seen a halftime act get booed off the floor.
It wasn't. I'm not saying it was good, right? I'm not saying it was good. Don't twist my words.
You're pro Kevin Durant eater.
I am not pro anything that went on that court last night. I'm just saying I would rather have watched 40 minutes of the halftime show than the 40 minutes of basketball Nebraska put out there.
Whatever you say, man. But nonetheless, it felt like an opportunity for Nebraska to be like, hey, you know what? We received votes in the last, although it was only 4. It
was 1 point. They got a 22nd place vote.
That's
4
right.
points.
So it's all right. So yes, we were receiving votes. Here we go. But we're legit, right? We're going to take this rivalry. We're going to win it 2 years in a row. This is us.
Mm-hmm.
And they just didn't show up. And not that I thought Nebraska's offense would ever be able to compete against Creighton. I'm not saying they're going to be able to shoot better than Creighton. But man, you didn't expect 2 of 22 from the 3-point line.
Nebraska was never going to win a game in the 80s or 90s. Creighton just has that higher ceiling. And I know people are going to say, well, Nebraska was averaging over 80 points a game. I'm not buying that.
Understand the opponents.
I'm not buying that. For Nebraska to win this game, I think it was going to be either in the 70s or 70 to 60.
Yep.
Where there's enough defense. Creighton shot okay, but not great. Nebraska played pretty well. Maybe took a slight step back in terms of raw numbers.
Yeah.
But Creighton getting to the 80s was a death knell for Nebraska.
Nebraska will have an opportunity, though, coming up, right? And this is where throughout the season we'll have the conversations about net rankings. Nebraska, and today was the first day where the net rankings came out, and this is where the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 wins. And for Nebraska, who we expect right now at 7-1 to still be relatively a fringe NCAA tournament team, like a bubble team. This is where quad wins are pretty important. Obviously, Nebraska falling to Creighton last night. Creighton debuted at the number 4 spot in the net rankings. How about that?
Margin of victory.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there, number 4. So Nebraska, that's a quad 1 loss, which doesn't look detrimental. But I think when you look at Nebraska, right, they're going to have an opportunity where Nebraska debuted as the 76th team in the net. They'll have an opportunity against a team in Michigan State, which ranks 51st, and then Kansas State, who ranks a little bit below them at 100th, right? So these are 2 big games. Obviously, Minnesota's first, but those 2 games are pretty important and crucial for Nebraska going forward in terms of you don't want those losses coming back to hurt you or haunt you come February and Selection Sunday.
I finished postgame with this last night. I will repeat it for anyone who's not listening or who needs to hear it again during On the Block, but I'll say it here because it's important. Last night was disappointing because Nebraska miserably failed the first big test, but the key is that it's the first big test, not the only big test.
Yep.
You have another chance against Michigan State. You get a shot on the road against a solid Kansas State team. The onus is on this Nebraska team to prove that it learned from last night. If Nebraska didn't learn from it, and this is what it looks like in the big games, you might not even host first round at the NIT. But if you can win, 2 of these next 3 games, hold serve at home because you have a couple big names coming to Lincoln in Big Ten play, then your goals are in front of you. You're right where you want to be. But last night cannot happen again.
Yeah, Minnesota on the season does have a couple losses. They've lost to Missouri at home at the barn. They lost to San Francisco, lost to Ohio State on Sunday. So they've had a couple losses as well on their record, led by second-year head coach and former Nebraska assistant Ben Johnson leading the Golden Gophers. Nebraska tips off against Minnesota on Wednesday at 8 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Let's take our final timeout, or I guess not final, second to last timeout. When we return, let's talk college football playoff, right? Because there's been a lot of controversy. We've talked a lot of transfer portal, and we'll keep you updated if there's any updates throughout the next. I mean, Austin will be on the air till probably 6 o'clock, I guess. So he'll be able to keep you updated the entire show today, entire rest of the afternoon as well. But for now, we got about 30 minutes left in the show. Stricky just entered the building, so he'll join us in the final segment. But let's talk college football playoff coming up next on the Happy Hour. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow Mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
Golfing in 72 degrees in perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in December, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book your holiday parties at Double Eagle Golf and make plans to join them for a New Year's Eve party. Gift cards make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, and don't forget to look ahead to 2024 as spring leagues begin in February. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Is your heating system ready for cooler weather? Call Bryant to schedule your fall heating check. No matter what brand, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com. bama1.com.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back here on the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman, as Rico is out of town today and tomorrow. So Austin will be hanging out with us. We'll have a 2-hour Happy Hour the entire week this week as Adam Carricker is also out of town. So make sure you hang out here 12 to 2 every single day for myself, Austin tomorrow, and Rico on Wednesday and Friday, with Austin sprinkled in there on Thursday once again.
And platooning.
Yeah, platooning. Yeah. Speaking of platooning, baseball winter meetings are happening. Expect some Shohei Ohtani news this week, I think. Either this week or early next week.
You still confident?
Not anymore. Not after the Braves have entered the sweepstakes. Once the powerhouses start to talk, then that's never a good sign. So I don't know. We'll see. If the Cubs want to fork over $600 million, then that's fine. Let's talk about this. The Cubs did get Tyler Glasnow, though. It sounds like they're just in the final stages of receiving Tyler Glasnow.
I like that for them.
I do too. That's a steady starter that the Cubs have not had. 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line, both open for you guys the rest of the way here. Let's talk college football playoff committee here for about 5-7 minutes or so. The favorites are Michigan, obviously. Alabama comes in as the second favorite. Texas is the third favorite, and the 2 seed, the Washington Huskies, are the fourth favorite at plus 700 if you are a betting man or woman. And once again, those lines actually come from our good friends at Warhorse Sportsbook, where you can make your bets. But nonetheless, Austin, did the committee get it right?
Depends on how you define right.
Let me reiterate. Did they put the 4 best teams into the playoff?
They put the 4. No. They also didn't put the 4 most deserving teams in the playoff, right? So this is where the committee has kind of tied itself in knots over the last, this is the 10th college football playoff. 2014 was the first. Over the last 10 years. What the committee has done is it has put the best teams in. Typically that's skewed SEC. It's why Bama gets the benefit of the doubt at the 4 seed that one year, and as they, win their way there. But the committee has also stuck to its guns and put the most deserving teams in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a more talented team with 1 loss. An undefeated conference champion has never been left out of the college football playoff until this year in Florida State. I saw this coming a mile away. If Texas won big enough, and if Bama won, Stricky and I said, they're going to leave Florida State out. They're going to find any reason, any excuse to leave Florida State out. They're saying the committee, it's more than just a quarterback. We understand that. And Florida State got screwed.
Yeah.
They did. They were done dirty by the committee. But to be completely honest, Nick, I don't care. I was watching the college football playoff anyways. Bama, Michigan, going to be a good game. Michigan, Florida State, who knows? Washington, Texas, sign me up. It's good football. It's an entertainment product. They don't care.
I'll be honest. So, sidebar here, Florida Senator Rick Scott has requested that the College Football Playoff Committee immediately release recordings, emails, and texts about its decision to exclude Florida State. says there are hopes, dreams, and billions of dollars in economic activity that hinge on those decisions made, which is fascinating. That's an incredible angle to think about, that because of the decision made in the college football playoff, billions of dollars are lost from Florida State.
Like, are you suing for damages? Are you suing the college football playoff committee for damages? Like, how does this work? This is number one, it's not that deep. Florida State should be in the playoff. We can all admit that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that's Alabama. Like, Florida State deserved, after being undefeated conference champion, even without their quarterback, to get in there. I mean, heck, Ohio State won it with a third string.
Man. Like, okay, so here's where I think we're at. I think Ohio State was the situation with Ohio State and the third string quarterback in Cardale Jones. You have to go back to 2014. And that was when you had, obviously, the Ohio State Buckeyes win the Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm.
The team that finished fifth was Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
The Big 12, and correct me if I'm wrong,
the team that finished sixth was TCU. That was the one true champion.
But they didn't have the Big 12 championship game.
They did not.
So that's what differentiated Ohio State from Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't think that's a fair saying of, well, look, Ohio State got in with their third string playoff. Well, they also played a conference championship game.
They did, but so did Florida State.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So now this year, though, here's what's interesting is this is the first year where we've truly had controversy. And from, I think, the terms of best college football game, Alabama, Michigan does it.
It's better than Michigan, Florida State.
It absolutely is.
Almost
by a
assured.
landslide.
Mm-hmm.
By a landslide. I also think that in the college football playoff, things that they take into consideration when ranking teams, specifically laid out, it talks about how injuries to players, injuries to teams, any idea or thought process that might hinder their ability to play football or make it a competitive game are taken into account.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me that having a third string quarterback out there doesn't hinder the possibility of having the best potential game.
Even the backup quarterback, who didn't look all that impressive. And again, I tweeted this out yesterday because the committee cares much less about whether they, again, like I said, they don't take it seriously and they're throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
But the committee has people above it saying it's not about getting it right or wrong.
Bingo.
It's about entertainment.
Yeah.
It's about driving ratings.
It is.
Guess what? We're going to be talking about this all week. People are going to tune in because you have the cheaters in Michigan against the best dynasty of the 2000s in Nick Saban, who snuck in. People are going to hate watch.
Who also Nick Saban, they're going to be going to the Rose Bowl, and that's where he won his first title.
Okay, let me ask you this too. If Alabama loses to Michigan, if Michigan wins, does anything even matter? Like, Michigan was going to be favored against Florida State, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, Florida State deserved the chance to play that game. It's why you play the game. But if Michigan wins, then they're on to the national championship game. Like, does it matter at all? Like, that's what's supposed to happen anyways.
I find it fascinating just because I think Alabama gives the playoff a better chance of having a 4 seed beat the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Nick Saban, Jim Harbaugh matchup is also fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this gets avoided by the 12-team playoff, and instead of having, a conversation or discussion between an undefeated team and a 1-loss team, we're having a conversation between a 1-loss team and a 2-loss team. Like, that's going to be the case going forward.
Yeah, and I feel like the arguments down that low will be whatever, but the arguments are going to start to be, it's still going to be, I think, for seeds 4 and 5 and seeds 8 and 9.
Yeah.
To differentiate between 4 and 5, who gets the bye and then the home game.
Mm-hmm.
Then for 8 versus 9, who gets the home game.
Yeah,
those are going to be the contentious ones.
Man, it's going to be interesting. I don't feel like, and so here we go. 402-464-5685. Ben says Florida State got screwed, and anyone arguing otherwise may have well just signed up for the circus now because they are a bleeping clown. Doggone clown, sorry. I'm not arguing that Florida State shouldn't be in. I'm more arguing that Alabama should be in. Like, That's where I'm at. Alabama just beat the number 1 team in the country. Alabama just won the SEC championship, which everybody views that conference as the best conference in football. In terms of TV product, when you include everything, is it right? Did Florida State do everything they could do and still get left out? Yes. Multiple things can be true. I also think that a fully healthy Alabama squad is a much more interesting team and much more enjoyable to watch against Michigan than a third-string quarterback Florida State team would.
Let's just look at
that's all I feel like. And I'm with you, Austin, where I would have watched the playoff if it was Michigan, Florida State, and Washington, Texas. But I am much more excited about an Alabama team going up against Michigan. Much more excited.
Let's just go through the rankings here real quick. Georgia lost, Michigan won, Michigan moves up. Washington beat a team that was favored by almost double digits.
Yep.
Over them, Georgia lost, Washington moves up.
Yeah.
Alabama beats Georgia. So either you have to keep Georgia in as one of the best, most talented teams. You'd probably drop them to either 3 or 4 and Bama's at the other one. But the SEC wasn't so good to deserve having 2 teams
I agree.
So with Texas not just winning, but winning big, with Florida State winning but not looking overly impressive, all the pieces were there to move Texas up that big jump. And then if you put Texas in, you have to put Bama in.
You do.
You can't have one without the other at this point. Texas beat Bama. Bama beat Georgia. So that's the pecking order. Texas, Alabama, and then Georgia. Now, keeping Florida State at number 5 is a slap in the face.
I agree.
If you're going to drop them out, you put them behind Georgia. You might even put them behind Ohio State. But to say that, oh, sorry, you were just a tough cut, you were next up, that's a slap in the face.
It is. I think also one last thing before we get to break and bring Stricky in. Everybody was arguing about the BCS process and that it took computers, and I don't like this, and maybe you hate this argument that I'm about to make, but this is where I stand. People hated that computers just took statistically the best teams, right? And normally it would usually be a 13-0 team against a 12-1 team. That's usually how it stacked up. Now we don't have that anymore. We take into account things like injuries. We take into account things that computers can't, and part of that is emotion. Part of that is the outside TV deals. That's what we signed up for with doing the college football playoff. So now that the college football playoff is doing what they do, and I guess, referencing bylaws and rules and stipulations that they take into account, now people get pissed off because it wasn't fair. Well, you're never going to get something that's 100% fair, unfortunately. So now it's like you have to decide, do you want statistically taking emotion, taking eye test, taking all that out of it, and have the 4 mathematical best teams in there? Or do you want some human element and truly feel like you get the 4 best?
Number one, we'll find something to argue about with this, whether it's, like the NCAA tournament for basketball, arguing seed lines, arguing bubble teams, or college football playoff, who's in, who's out. Early, late pre-adolescence into early adolescence, Austin had this nugget dropped on him. I'm just going to share it here. Yes, the BCS is stats.
Yeah.
Computers don't program themselves.
That's a good point.
All the numbers, all the formulas are created by and weighted by humans. Even those are subjective.
Those damn
so
humans.
Whether you're looking at the BCS standings, you're looking at, analytics that are ruining baseball, and look at the 3-point shot. It's so valued in basketball. They shoot too many of them. Well, here's the thing. It's numbers that come from people.
Yeah.
People run the formulas. People set the formulas up. So it's all a human invention giving us something to argue about.
Yeah. Well, good news is that we won't have to worry about this next year.
Right.
We'll have to worry about this next year. People are fired up. I don't blame them. But once again, if Nebraska was in Florida State's spot, or frankly, if I get it. I'm all for, I agree. Florida State kind of got, screwed. They got left out. They shouldn't have been. But man, it would have been hard for me to sit there and be like, yeah, you know what? The 4 true best teams in their current state are in the Final Four. It's tough for me to say that. And I know there's a lot of thoughts behind the scenes of ESPN did this, they knew the rankings, they started spreading all this, whatever. We predicted it on Friday that this was going to be the top 4. If Alabama beat Georgia, which we believed a couple of us thought would happen, that they were going to be in. because you just can't leave Alabama out. They're just the dynasty of the 2005 to 2020 type of team. So I also think part of it, and Unnamed Texter makes a good point, an undefeated Clemson would not have gotten screwed. I think the ACC being down hurt Florida State. The conference reputation, the SEC wasn't the best conference in football this year, but they had a better year than the ACC. Clemson, the only program that's won a national title since 2013 Florida State from your conference. That was the only somewhat national powerhouse that you've had. They had a down year.
Carolina slid. Duke didn't live up to the hype at the end.
Yeah,
Miami, no.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. North Carolina started out as a top 10 team. They're not there with an NFL-type quarterback. South Carolina's still bad. Clemson's bad. Duke, who started out as a top 20 team, lost their quarterback, and they finished 7-5.
Louisville's a flash in the pan right now.
Yes. So when you look, you have to unfortunately sit there and say, is the ACC down, not having Clemson? If Clemson was was their usual Clemson, and that ACC championship was a matchup of undefeated Florida State
and 11-1 Clemson.
Yeah, versus one-loss Clemson. There you go. Then Florida State.
You know what we call that?
People don't respect Louisville in the football world.
We call that the Pac-12 this year.
There you go. So, because that's what's crazy is in previous years, it was the Pac-12 in the ACC's current position. It was the Pac-12 in the ACC's current position.
Even the Big 12 a couple times.
Should USC be let in? Should Washington be let in? So I understand the ACC had a winning record versus the SEC. I get that. I'm talking totality. I'm not talking head-to-head here. We're talking the ACC versus the ACC in terms of national respect and prowess. Unfortunately, outside of Florida State, nobody was really respected. Unfortunately, Louisville just lost to a mediocre SEC team in Kentucky the week before. So now that hurt Louisville's case on when they lost, saying, hey, you know what? Florida State beat a Louisville team that just lost to a mediocre Kentucky team. So there's a lot of things that play in. Did Florida State get screwed? You're absolutely right. They did. But I think at the end of the day, they put the four best teams in. Not the four most deserving, the four best teams, regardless of record. So there you go. Woo! Let's take a break. We recap weekend picks coming up next on the Happy Hour here. 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket studios at 1040 O Street.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in December, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book your holiday parties at Double Eagle Golf and make plans to join them for a New Year's Eve party. Gift cards make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, and don't forget to look ahead to 2024 as spring leagues begin in February. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn to ride a motorcycle, how to start a small business, how to dance, or take a course to advance in your current career path. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Join Planet Fitness now and get the PF Black Card for only $24.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
And massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Only $24.99 a month. Our most popular membership, the PF Black Card, is your ticket to getting all the perks. Join today. See Club for details.
Old School with DP and J.
We got a special guest in. We got Jason Peters.
All that's being asked of you is everything. Like, you have to give everything that you have to that program, to that team. If you want to be a champion, that's the only way, right? I mean, you have to commit to every lifting session, every strength and conditioning session, during the summer, during the spring, whatever it may be. It just has to be 100% commitment by everybody.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I don't believe you people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick, Austin, and now Stricky with you. What's up, Stricky?
What's up with it? I'm in the building, baby.
How's life treating you?
Oh, yeah, good.
Did the committee get it right?
Listen, that's the way I said it.
There you go. All right.
I said it like that. I really did. I said, I mean, you can go back and look at it, track my words. See, I'm not like Tricky Nicky, that, would say he,
go back and check my words too.
But, no, I said that if my thought was, let me just say, that if Alabama beats Georgia, I said I want controversy. Mm-hmm. I said I want it. And I wanted to see what was going to happen. And everybody, well, not everybody, you guys didn't. You guys were with me. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people that I was talking to did not believe that they would leave Georgia out. And I said, they will. I said, mm-hmm. Alabama's going to leapfrog. If Texas blows out Oklahoma State, they're going to get in. And I actually thought Oregon was going to probably beat. So I thought it was going to probably be a flip-flop. But it worked for the most part, just like the way I saw it.
Yeah, so there you go. More of that, I'm sure, coming up on the block with Strick and Austin. Let's get out of here relatively quickly. Let's talk weekend picks here. How do you think you did, Strick?
About even.
All right. Yeah, you did about 6-5.
Yeah,
not bad.
Not even.
Not bad. I also went 6-5. Rico went 5-6. I gave Rico the benefit of the doubt. He did like 4 pushes. I wasn't going to make him lose 20 points. So I just gave him the benefit of the doubt. Marked him as losses because they were all losses. So he goes 5-6. Austin goes 7-4. And Jay goes 6-5 in his first day. Jay goes 2-4 in college football picks. 4-1 in the NFL, though.
That's his thing. That's his own.
Redeemed himself. So we'll have a little bit of a break. Maybe not. Maybe we'll do some college basketball this weekend.
Saturday's loaded.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some college basketball and weekend picks this
Got some
weekend.
tournaments coming up too.
Yeah,
some holiday stuff.
So there's a lot of good ones. Austin, want to thank you, my man, for hanging out with me the entire 2-hour slate today.
Can I come back tomorrow? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can come back.
Yeah,
I
2 hours.
People are mad though. People are mad at our college football playoff takes though, Austin.
Good. They're gonna be mad an hour or two of the show as well. Then
there you go. Yeah, we had 2 hours today, Stricky. We got 2 hours all week.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're stretching out the. It's no longer. It's the happy 2 hour.
Well, yeah. Adam Carricker's out of town. So
okay. It's the happy 2 hour.
There you go. 464-5685 phone number. Make sure you keep calling, keep texting. You guys have been awesome. Sorry that we couldn't get to all of them. We were going to talk a lot more basketball, but we ended up not. Talked a lot of transfer portal. There's a lot of names in there in the portal, so it's a lot of exciting names. Make sure you stick around. On the block with Strick and Austin continues next. But once again, Rico is out of town today, tomorrow, and he won't be here Thursday either. So Austin's going to be hanging out with me for 3 of the 5 days this week. So make sure you give Rico a ton of crap on Twitter, on the show on Wednesday, all that and more. So don't go anywhere. On the block, Strick and Austin coming up next right here. 93.7 The Ticket.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? At Warhorse Sportsbook, their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino in Lincoln or Horseman's Park in Omaha, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn to ride a motorcycle, how to start a small business, how to dance, or take a course to advance in your current career path. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken lips. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. we just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Are you looking for some holiday fun? This year, start a new tradition. Make the Nebraska Christmas Lights Show experience an annual event for your family and a cherished memory to look forward to every year. From Black Friday to January 3rd, buckle up and tune into the rhythm of the lights and let the magic of Christmas take over with the show. Now located at Star City Shores, just off of 27th and Highway 2. Buy your tickets for just $20 or $25 per car today at NebraskaChristmasLightShow.com.
What a day. I could sure